Hey, this is DJ Ashba.
And I'm James Michael. We are Sixx AM, and you are watching Loudwire. It was a very conscious decision that we made. Obviously, when we did the Heroin Diaries soundtrack, the first record, we had Nikki's Diaries, which were eventually published as a book, to kind of inspire us on that one. And then This Is Gonna Hurt, we had this photography book. So this was the first one that we actually made a conscious decision not to have any kind of peripheral thing. And we wanted to just write a record that revealed not only to our fans what we've become as a band, but revealed to ourselves what we've become. So for us, we wanted to really look back at what kind of music got us into wanting to be in the music business in the first place. So we went back to the late 60s and 70s rock records, the great records of those days like Queen and Elton John and David Bowie and things like that. And we really wanted to allow ourselves to be inspired by those, and we wanted those influences to really show through on this record. It wasn't meant to be a subtle thing. It was meant to be very bold. We're all lyricists. Yeah. We all write all of the music and all of the lyrics together. But in answer to your question, it did free us up in the sense that to finally know who you are as a band, to know what your sound is, then it becomes exciting to know where, to figure out where you can take that sound. One of the things about Sixx AM that's kind of unusual is that we never really thought of ourselves as a band. We weren't a band when we started. And so, DJ, maybe you can talk to us about this a bit, that we didn't have any rules. We didn't have rules as a band. And
right. I mean, that's what's so great about Sixx AM is having the freedom to, every album we go into, it's an open canvas. We don't play by the typical rules, which is why I believe the albums turn out like they do. And, not having a template such as a book or a photography to inspire. This was the most exciting album to work on because of that. The sky was the limit, and it became about, let's just write a great album from beginning to end and take people on this journey that they've never been on before. And it's kind of just an extension of the overall journey that we started them out on Heroin Diaries. So this is a natural progression for us.
Yeah, and back to the question about the lyrics, even from the beginning, even though there was the inspiration of the book, we really, we've always been fascinated with the contrast between darkness and beauty. And I think that all Sixx AM songs will have that. You'll find that the messages typically deal with some pretty heavy subject matter. But there's always that light of hope in our songs. And so we love that kind of, having something really beautiful contrast against something very ugly or very painful. And so to not have a book or something where sometimes that would, on the first record would be like, well, we'd go off on a tangent, and it would be like, oh, well, we got to get back on target here because, right. We're trying to tell this story loosely based around the book. Well, now we didn't have that. So that was very exciting for us to be able to go off on some of those tangents and discover new things about ourselves.
We know what the whole entire album, sounds like. We're not alienating anybody. We know there's those songs on the record for those people who like the stuff like This Is Gonna Hurt and those type of songs. But we already made those records. And to us, we always loved the bands that took those chances. Some of my favorite albums were the albums I hated when I first heard them. I was like, what are they doing? But what they were doing is they were evolving as artists. And if you're not evolving, you're dying. And I think it's a great move, and we expected the push and pull. We got the exact reaction we knew we were going to get. But it makes people talk, and it makes people go, wait a second. They're in for a huge journey on this. And I think they're going to be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, one of the things that we've noticed about rock music recently, and this is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's just an observation, is that people's perception of what makes a rock record has become very narrow. And I think that's due largely to radio formats and just, it works for some bands and it works beautifully for some bands. But for us, when we started looking at the kind of records that influenced us, we look back to the 70s and you take a band like Queen, for instance, and you listen to any one of their records, and from one song to the next, it's a dramatic difference. And you go on such a crazy journey, that sometimes your head's spinning by the end of it. But you know what? We still call those rock records. And that's the kind of rock record that we wanted to make. And it's exciting for us. And to DJ's point, we fully expected it. We weren't doing this to spite anybody. We're doing this to push ourselves and to celebrate the music that we love and what we hope. And I'm pretty confident it will happen once people do get to know the full record. They'll come back to that and realize that maybe we weren't so crazy in the first place. Yeah, it's a cool one for us. I'll start off and then you can kind of finish up on that. To me, it really does kind of exemplify what this record is, in the sense that as you listen to it, you can hear that there's a shift in focus for us. It's not the huge guitars; it's more kind of big, bombastic drums. The melody line is very driving and very piercing. To us, it reminds us of kind of a 70s pop rock song. And there are definitely moments that feel like it's almost like American Pie. As far as just the overall feel of it. But then we wanted to have moments in it. For instance, like in the bridge, there's this really unusual background vocal part that if you listen to it, it sounds like a Jeff Lynne ELO type of harmony. And to us, that excites us. We've been wanting to put that kind of stuff into songs for a long time.
Yeah, this song, like I said, this is one of those songs where I approached it like as a songwriter, not a guitar player, because it didn't call for a solo. I was the first to say we don't need a solo in this song. And it's just simple is better for this, I think the song spoke for itself, and so yeah, I love this song. And
what's really cool is just to see the different reactions about it. Like we said, there's been some people that have actually been angry, which is, I get it. I remember when Queen came out with a new record, and I was kind of pissed because it wasn't exactly like the record before. But man, when I look back on that career now, I wouldn't change very much at all.